Hello and welcome to this crochet tutorial where I'm going to show you how to make this small puppy. I used blanket yarn and a 7mm crochet hook. We have safety eyes and a little nose, hands and feet. Easy enough for the beginners. I know the video is quite long, but it's to show you how to do multiple stitches from the bobble stitch to decreases without using the invisible decrease, the decrease stitch, the single crochet. The whole body is no sew, but we do soft sculpturing sewing, and I show you how to use that with a doll needle of 6 inches. You can purchase doll needles at Walmart, so come join me in making of this little puppy, which could be a bunny if you wanted to. You didn't have to bring the ears down, they could have stood right up. So come on, let's get started. The materials and tools that we will be using to make our little puppy, here I have for the body a cream color. This is Bernat blanket, and over here I have a tan color, which I don't know if in this light, but there is a distinct difference where I'm at of the two colors. We need just a little bit of black for the face. 16mm safety eyes. Here's the backings. If you plan to give this to a child, please make sure that the child does not chew, because the safety eyes can come off with the pressure of a mouth. This is a 7mm crochet hook. We're going to be using 2 needles. This one is a tapestry needle, and we'll be using a doll needle, which is about 6 inches long. Pair of scissors and a stitch marker. These are the doll needles that I have purchased from Walmart. You'll notice that they come in 4 different lengths. The largest one here has a big enough eye that you can use for the blanket yarn if it's really thick. The 6-inch needle here is the one we will be using because the Bernat blanket yarn will go through the eye of this needle. We will do some soft sculpturing, which is not hard. Can you see the size of that eye of the needle? You can get the blanket yarn through that. But if your blanket yarn is really thick, then you need to go to the bigger size. So this pattern is basically designed for no sew, but we will be doing soft sculpturing, which is a little bit of sewing. So before we begin, I like to make sure that my yarn is not in the ball, in the skein. So what I'm doing here is this is the yarn barf. So I am opening it up. The reason why I encourage that is so that you can keep the proper tension. When you first do the couple of rows, you want to make sure that the tension is a little loose so that you don't have humps and bumps and everything. So pull out some yarn, a good amount, and just kind of have it resting either in your lap or on the floor, so that way our tension will be correct without it being pulled by the skein. So we're going to start off with a magic circle, and in our magic circle we will begin with 12 single crochets. So let's make sure we have a long enough tail. You'll see here mine is about 8 to 10 inches long. Okay, so come up here and wrap it around. Pull your loop through and do like a chain stitch. Do not make this first one tight. Keep it kind of loose, so that way when we pull on the blanket yarn, we don't have problems with it breaking. Okay, now I pull the tail out so that everything goes kind of smoothly. We're going to be doing 12 loose single crochets. So to do a single crochet, go through the center, yarn over, pull up the loop, come over, and go through the 2 on the hook. Notice how this is loose. We want it loose enough so when we pull that tail, it does not break. Here's number 2, 3. Continue on till you have 12, and I will meet you there. After you have the 12 single crochet on your hook or on your loop here, pinch with your finger and thumb the last stitches. Not hard, but just enough to hold them. Then take the tail and slowly pull it. If it starts to bunch up here, separate it just a little bit. The tail could have gotten twisted in there. And pull some more until it feels okay. Now I'm not going to pull it much more. The excess that we have on after our next row, we're going to reinforce this magic circle so that it won't come apart. Now some people have tried the double magic circle, but sometimes it creates problems. So I choose not to do that one. And it's easier to sew it in afterwards. So we're going to be using our stitch marker from now on. So notice here we have our chain and then our first stitch. In our first stitch, place 1 single crochet. Keep it somewhat loose for this row, but not as loose as what you did on the magic circle. Okay, so we have 1. In our next stitch, we're going to place 2 single crochets. When you have 2 single crochets in one stitch, it's known as an increase. Our repeat for this row will be 1 and increase, 1 and increase. Now let's go back. Let's count back 1, 2, 3. Place our stitch marker in. Because I was showing you this, I forgot to put the stitch marker in right away. After you do your first stitch, place your stitch marker in so you know that's the beginning of the row. So let's do our repeat again. Single crochet, and our next stitch is the increase. 2 single crochets. Continue this till you hit the last stitch before the stitch marker, and I will meet you there. Your last stitch should be an increase. After completing this row, enlarge the loop, remove your hook, and let's flip it over. Let's take our tail and place our tapestry needle on it. Now how I do it, I place it in between my 4 fingers here, bring the needle up from the bottom and pinch it, and then work the needle over the fibers. Sometimes when you use the very end, because this is a yarn that has cut pieces being held by a thread in the middle, it can unravel for you and create problems. So I always use the folded yarn method. Now, take note of how your yarn came out. So it came out this way. So let's go in the middle of these stitches, going this way. So I'm going to go through about 3 or 4 stitches. And then go through about 3 or 4 more stitches. This just helps reinforce the magic circle so that you don't have to worry about that one thread possibly breaking. So you actually have a reinforced. Now if you want, you can take it and snug it up just a little bit more, and that tightens your magic circle in the center. Now to finish it off, pick up a couple of loops. Mine came out of the... and just pull it through the loop. That's kind of like making a knot, and it's not going to go anywhere. I usually leave my tail, but if you choose to cut it, please do. Okay, let's insert our hook again back into our loop. Remove our stitch marker. In our first stitch, 1 single crochet. Replace the stitch marker. Our next stitch, 1 single crochet. And into our third stitch, increase, which means 2 single crochets. Okay, this is our repeat for this row. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, increase, 2 single crochets. So over the next 3 stitches, you have single, single, and double. Okay, let's do that again. Single crochet, single crochet, and increase, which is 2 single crochets. Okay, repeat that around. Your last stitch before the stitch marker will be your increase. And I'll meet you there. Please pause your video. This row we will be adding the bottom legs, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and 1 more. If this was in a pattern, you would have 4 single crochets written as a pattern. In our next stitch, we're going to be doing a bobble stitch. A bobble stitch is not hard. A lot of it depends on how you control the tension from your hand and how you keep it on your hook. If it's too loose, it'll come out where the stitches don't look the same. So I'm going to show you how I do the bobble stitch as you create it as well. If you find you have problems, you can always go back to this point and try your bobble stitch again until it meets your expectations. So place your finger on the hook, on your loop on the hook. So yarn over, go into your next stitch, draw up a loop. Okay, make sure your tension is right. Yarn over, now go through 2 loops and stop. See where my fingernail is right here? We're going to be using that same hole to do this 3 more times. Don't go, oh no, you can do this. Yarn over into the same hole, pull up a loop, okay, yarn over through 2. So we'll have 3 loops on our hook. Let's do it again. So yarn over into that same hole, pull up a loop. Notice how I'm keeping my finger on there as well as holding the tension in my hand. Yarn over through 2 loops on the hook. Okay, so now we have 4. We're going to do it 1 more time. It's going to get a little tight in there, but it's okay. So yarn over, yarn, or put the hook into the hole, pull up a loop, yarn over and through 2. You now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over. Now we're going to aim our hook. See how it's aiming down? And at that same time, you're going to push up. So we want to push the hook this way, but the hook is aiming down. Okay, so push up, and it'll come through all those stitches with no problem. If your loop is a little loose, tighten it up. It's okay. It's not going to mess with your stitches here. Then pull the stitches over, and into the very next stitch, you can see the stitch from the previous row, into the very next stitch, 1 single crochet. Now go in and single crochet. Now all of this went to the back, so take your finger, push it forward, and here we have our foot for the outside. This stitch and the next 2 stitches are going to be increases. So even though we did 1 here, we need 1 more in that same space. And then into the next stitch, increase. And then into the next one, increase. You'll notice that I put my fingernails in there so that I can find them with this blanket yarn. So we added 3 extra stitches to the 3 holes that we used from the previous row. Now we're going to do 1 more bobble stitch like we did right here. So let's go through that again. Yarn over, pull up a loop, remember to control your tension, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over that same hole, alright, so I have 2, yarn over, here's number 3, yarn over, and here's number 4. Notice how I adjusted my tension to make sure that the height of all these stitches would be right. Okay, see how they all looked pretty much the same? Okay, so to finish this off, because I have 5 loops, yarn over, aim the hook down, and push up at the same time. Then in the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And then push those stitches forward. So here's what we have so far. I'm going to stop the video so that way if you need to go back a few minutes in the video, you can redo if you feel that your tension wasn't correct. And then we will move on. So if you need to stop your video, please stop it and redo what you need to redo. Moving on, we're going to do a total of 9 single crochets here. So we've already done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. You will notice it start to curl a little bit. That's okay. After 9 single crochets, we're going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This will be the tail, which will be in the back of our legs here. Now the loop on our hook does not count as a completed chain, so the next one is complete. We're going to skip that one, and then into the next one we're going to make a slip stitch. Now in chains you have the back hump and you have the V, or if you find it easier, just pick up 1 loop. I take the back hump because to me it makes it look neater. So I'm going to do a slip stitch. Let me tighten this up since I moved it around. I picked up a loop, and I'm just going to continue on and finish with the loop that was on my hook. So we did one slip stitch, single crochet in the next 4 stitches, here's number 3, and here's number 4. Okay, we have 2 stitches left, or 2 chains left, and we're going to do 1 half double crochet in each one. So to do a half double crochet, place your finger on the loop, yarn over, pick up the loop on your hook or on your chain, put the the hook through the loop of the chain, draw up a loop, pull the yarn through, and then yarn over through all 3 on the hook. We're going to do it again for the second one. Remember to adjust your tension and pull it through. So here's our little tail. Our next stitch, we finished here, so our next stitch will go right here. We're going to do 6 single crochets, and that'll take us back to our stitch marker. Okay, so this is what we have so far. So for this row, we're going to do 21 single crochets, and that'll take us right up here to this tail. But before we get there, I want to show you how to pick up your stitches over these bobbles. So here I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so if you look down, you have 1 long chain. Just place 1 single crochet in that long chain look. That's the stitch for the bobble. And then we have a short one right here. Okay, and then remember the increases we have here. So remember to try and find each one of them so you don't skip any stitches. Okay, so when you get to here, you'll have number 11. Okay, here's number 11. Okay, so number 12 is this stitch over the bobble again. Okay, and here's number 13. Okay, so continue here until you get to, you see where this single crochet goes into the body? This one is the half double crochet. So when you get to this one right here, I'll meet you there. That'll be stitch number 21. Bring your tail forward and then look for that single crochet that went back into the body right here. So you can see that this, okay, so we have our stitch here from before the chain, and here's our first stitch after the chain. Okay, and here's the stitch that you need to put your hook into right here. So we're going to skip over that half double crochet in the bulk of the tail and do a single crochet in that stitch. Remember to adjust your tension so that it'll help close the hole right here where your tail is at. Yarn over and complete that single crochet. Here So here is 6 stitches. So 6 single crochet. I've made so many of these as gifts for my daughters and co-workers. Her and I came up with this idea, taking it from my little kitty cat. I hope they like them. We thought they'd be round enough for ornaments, but a lot of times people don't just use them as ornaments. They sometimes decorate their desks. So I said, well, let's use the blanket yarn. The blanket yarn turned out so cute. Okay, so we have a total of 27 stitches that we have just completed for this row we just did. So for the next 2 rows, we're going to place 27 stitches per row. Now here's how I mark my rows when I have to do multiple rows. I'll do that 1 single crochet, and then I'll put my stitch marker in there. That tells me this is the first row. And then I'll single crochet around. And after I pass it, that's going to be row number 2. So I'll know where to stop and start at. Okay, so here's row 1, 27 rows, row 2, 27 rows. Please do that, and I'll meet you in a few minutes after you've completed your row, just like me, or your 2 rows. Now, in case you're wondering which is the first and last stitch, here's the first one. Go up, that's the first one. So our last stitch is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my stitch marker out. Okay, so for the first of the next row, let's do 1 single crochet. Now this row will have the bobbles again, and we're going to be doing invisible decreases. Do not let that discourage you. They are not that hard. You just have to watch for your next stitch. Now, for some of you that are beginners, and you might wonder, well, how am I supposed to know where my next stitch is if I do an invisible decrease? What you do, you know your next stitch will be a decrease. So count over 2, and in the third one, you can place a stitch marker. That will help you to identify the next stitch after your invisible decrease, because a lot of times after you pick up the front of this one, it can look like your next stitch. So to do an invisible decrease, you want to go through the front loop. Okay, you notice how you have up here, you have a back loop and a front loop. So let's pick up the front loop and bring the hook forward and down and do the front loop of the next stitch. Okay, pull the yarn through, and you complete it as if it was a single crochet. Okay, so here is identifying where your next stitch will be at, because if you look here, can you really tell, did you pick up a stitch here? Do I need to add a stitch here? Sometimes it can be confusing, and having a little stitch marker here will help you out a lot. So into our next stitch, we're going to do a bobble stitch. I know, it's not that hard, but it's fun to do. Okay, so we're going to do like we did before. We're going to bring up our loops, yarn over, bring up our loop, make sure your tension is right. Here's number 3, and here's number 4. All right, and then yarn over, aim down, push up, tighten it up just a little bit. In the next stitch, 1 single crochet. And then push your arms forward. So your arm spacing should be like this. So it's kind of over to the side. Okay, so this row, or this small section, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease 3 times. So we're starting here on our first repeat. So here's our invisible decrease. We completed 1, so let's go on to number 2. Single crochet, invisible decrease. That's our second set. Let's do it one more time. Single crochet and invisible decrease. Kind of made a little pudgy belly here. So, and our next stitch will be a bobble stitch. This is the last bobble stitch we'll do, I promise. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, through 2, remember to do this 4 times. Makes it look like the arm sticks out pretty good. Okay, and then single crochet in that first stitch after that, and then push your arm through. Okay, so we're going to do the repeat again. Single crochet and decrease 3 times. Okay, we should have 4 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 decreases. There's 1. And 2. Okay, so our hole's starting to close up. Here's the front of our little puppy here. Removing our stitch marker, 1 single crochet. So for the next 2 rows, we have a total of 18 single crochets. Remember how I showed you before? You got your 1 single crochet and 1 single crochet. So 2 rows, 18 single crochets. Please pause your video and I'll meet you after you've done that. So in case you're wondering, it's not time to add the eyes yet, so let's be patient. Okay, on this row, we're going to start off with 1 single crochet again. Place our stitch marker. Okay, a second single crochet, invisible decrease. Okay, our repeat will be 4 single crochets, invisible decrease. We'll do that 2 times. 2, 3, 4. Invisible decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4. Invisible decrease, and 2 single crochets. Alright, so we're moving along here. We should have 15 stitches in this row. So 1 row of 15 stitches. Please pause your video and complete the 15 single crochet for this row. Okay, now if you're going to be using the same color for the ears, do not cut your yarn. If you plan to change colors like I'm going to, let's go ahead and cut it with a short tail. And then pull the loop out of the last stitch. And then add your color change. So just basically pull the loop over, pull it through, adjust that last stitch. Now with these two tails, we're going to include them in the placement of our next few stitches. So our first stitch will be a single crochet. So to eliminate this extra look of color, just pull it tight. See how it pulls it away? In the next stitch, we're going to do an increase. And then one single crochet. Chain one, turn your work. The tails, we can take those and stuff them inside the body of our little puppy here. The first stitch will be a single crochet. The next stitch will be an increase. The next stitch, an increase. And the final stitch, one single crochet. Chain one and turn your work. The making of these ears will, at the end of every row, will be chain one, and you will turn your work every time. For the next 2 rows, we're going to be doing 6 single crochets per row. My hands are sweating, so my hook is talking to us. I call it the crochet hook song. Don't forget to chain one. Okay, at the end of that 6, chain one and turn. Alrighty, so 2 single crochet. Whoops, I didn't pull that one tight enough. Okay, so 2 single crochet. Sometimes you want to correct your work on the spot and not wait till the last minute. And then we're going to do a 2 single crochet together decrease stitch. So to do that, I'm not going to do invisibles back here on the ear. So we're going to go through both loops, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, and pull up a loop. So you're going to have 3 on your hook, yarn over through all 3. That took those 2 stitches and turned them into 1. And then we have 2 single crochet left, chain 1 and turn. The invisible decreases are mostly used on the body for when you have single layer work. Sometimes it's best just to go through both of the V-stitch on the back and front loop of the stitch, you know. Okay, so our next row, we're going to start off with 2 single crochet, and then we got a decrease, so pull up a loop. Remember to adjust your tension on both of those. Then yarn over through all 3, and then 1 single crochet. chain 1 and turn. We should have 4 stitches across here, so we're going to do 2 decreases. So here's 1 and 2, chain 1 and turn. We have 2 stitches left. We're going to do 1 decrease. This will be the last stitch of this for the ear. So let's cut a tail about 6 to 8 inches long. Okay, you want to snug up that last finishing knot. And then with your tapestry needle, since it's on the end, okay, so you have the opening here. We want to take and go along this edge on the inside here. Just pick up some of the loops as you go down. Notice how I'm trying to make it so you can't really see the needle. All the way to the bottom. Just push that needle through. Okay, and then stretch it to make sure that there's enough. When you get down here to the last one, you can lock it in. Just do 1 and 2. Sorry I hit my camera. You all know I use a GoPro, right? I like GoPros. I think they're great for this kind of work. So this is what we have so far. Now we're going to do the next ear. So if you're using the same color, we're going to start, here's in front, and we're going to start here. If you're using the two-tone, you want to pull up the body color, which is whatever. I use the cream color. So I'm going to make, oh, I got to get mine, it fell on the floor. I'm going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to start with a single crochet right here in front. So hang on just a second, let me get my yarn, and we're going to place a slip knot on it and then start it up. So we don't need a very big tail for it, just, you know, a short little tail. Now to start with a standing single crochet is actually pretty easy. You got your slip knot on your hook. Okay, you got your arms in front of you. So you want to come over here where the ear finished, go to the next stitch, drop a loop, yarn over through the two of them, and you've completed your first single crochet there. The tail, we're just going to push it inside the body. So we want to do 6 single crochets, but of course on the 6th one we're going to change colors. For those of you who don't change colors, just be patient with us. It's not hard to change out the colors. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on our 6th one we're going to change colors. So I'm going to take this, and with this I'm going to leave a longer tail, about 18 to 20 inches, because this will be part of our self sculpture. So I pulled that forward. I'm going to go ahead and use my color chain. Now for those of you who are using the same color for the ears and for the body, do not add this. We're just going to keep on crocheting. So we're going to pull our yarn through. I'm going to leave mine out front because we can always weave that in later. Okay, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet. Now for those of you who are using the same color, let's continue on. So this is our 7th single crochet for those that are using the same color. The next stitch is an increase. and then the last stitch is 1 single crochet. Okay, and chain 1. I guess you can hear all the fun I'm having over here with my yarn. It decided it wanted to pull everything else down with it. Never a dull moment. Okay, so we're going to flip it around. In our first stitch, single crochet. In our second stitch, increase. The next stitch, increase. And then the last one is 1 single crochet. Okay. You like the song my crochet hook is singing? Here, let me spare you. I have another hook. I like the way it sings. Okay, so for the next 2 rows, 6 single crochets with a chain 1 at the end. Oops, sounds like this one wants to start singing. A lot of times when your hands get sweaty, I'm under a lot of light right here because of the filming. The oils and stuff mixes with this plastic, and it just wants to create friction and squeaky noises. It's all good. If you're at home by yourself and you're listening to TV or the music, you won't even notice it. All right. So we've completed 2 rows of 6 single crochets. Now we're going to start our decrease row. So 2 single crochets, and then we're going to have 1 decrease and 2 single crochet. Remember, our decrease was 2 single crochets together. So for our next row, we have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Here's our decrease. Remember to pull up those loops. And our last one is 1 single crochet. Chain 1 and turn. We have 4 stitches here on our row. We're going to do 2 decreases. The reason why I'm going a little quicker on this is because, yes, we did it on the other ear. And for those who want it slower, can always go back. I know that sounds like a cop-out, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Okay, so in here, we're just going to... Now, for those that have the different colored ears than the body, cut a 6-inch. For those who have all the same color, cut the 20-inch for a tail. Okay. So, and even if you have the 20-inch tail, we want to weave in the ends. So have the opening looking at you, and then we're just going to go down along the edge here. Just kind of weaving in so you can't really see it. You don't want to go all the way through to the front side. You just want to kind of pick up the back of the stitches. Most of these stitches have 2 or 3 layers to them anyway. So it'll be easy just to pick it up. There we go, all the way. Pull it through. Make sure that there's enough. And then right here at the end, kind of snug it up. Whoops. Okay. So here's what we have so far. I'm going to give you a better picture. This is what we have so far. So the next thing we're going to be adding on is the eyes. So go ahead and get your safety eyes available, and we will go ahead and find their placement. Okay, so I want to point out something in case you do question it later. We have one extra row here compared to the back. That's okay. Okay, even though this one will seem like one row lower, once we stuff it, it'll be okay. All right, so we're going to count down here 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. So right here, sorry I hit my camera. Right here is where we're going to be placing our eyes. Now, when I stick mine in, I usually come like to the edge and go straight up. The edge of the arm there. And 1, 2, 3, let's see. Edge of the arm. Let's see. Does that look right? Yeah, looks good. Okay. So edge of the arm up, edge of the arm up. 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, third row right here. Okay. Push it forward with your thumb. Usually these go on, you hear that? Snap, snap, snap. I don't recommend giving these to children that want to chew on things, because the eyes could pop out, and I sure hate to have a choking hazard problem. So they do go in there, and the eyes are locked in, but when you put your teeth in between it, it's like using a pair of pliers. So be careful if you give this to children that want to chew on things. That's not their intent. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is stuff this. And I think I forgot to tell you, for stuffing in the materials. So, sorry. I'll put that in there. Okay, so we're going to take it and stuff it. Be careful as you stuff it in there, because the eyes have that pointy thing, you know, the pointy thing back here, and it can scratch your thumb or your fingers, so just be careful when poking that in there. Now, I like to poke or stuff mine firmly, so you can do as you wish. Stuffing these things do not have to be a certain way. The blanket yarn works really good with the batting. Okay. Don't worry about this. We're going to be sewing that up. Okay. So, check for your roundness. Okay, and then I'm going to add some more up here on the top. Okay, that looks good. Because that'll help pop those eyes out a little bit more. There we go. How's that? Okay, so let's take our tapestry needle. We're going to sew the opening closed. We're just going to use a basic running stitch. Now, even though it came out over here, that's okay. We're going to go up here in between the stitches. Okay, I'm going to take this thing and fold it in half and sew it closed. So basically, just use a running stitch. Okay, I came in through this one, went over to the next one, pulled it through. Now that single crochet, the standing single crochet, the first one we did, now you want to pull that one in. you want to insert the needle into that one individually. Okay, and once you got all that across, okay, pulled that one individually, go through the ear here. Okay, and then we're going to take the ear and fold it. I'm going to fold it. Bring up the stitches through the back and into the body. We're going to place 2 stitches there. Okay, take the needle and go under, come out over here. Okay, we're going to do a little shaping there. All right, and then see how the back comes to the front. We're going to go through a stitch, do it again. Shape the ear. It's so cute. Looks like a little puppy already, doesn't it? Okay, so now we're going to go back in here, come here to the back, 1, 2, into the third one right here, right above the tail. Now come around here to the front. Oops. Over here to the front. You want to go right here in the middle of these eyes. And go straight back to the same place you were at before. Okay. Now, let's take this out of our tapestry needle and get our doll needle, and we're going to load it up the same way, fold it in half, and work those fibers through that eye hole opening. I'm just going to use a little tail. Now, these things have sharp tips. Trust me, I've poked myself God knows how many times and it hurts like hell. So just be careful. So we're going to go through here, come out down here. I try to come out through the center right here. See the center where the magic circle is? Whoops, don't let it come off your needle. Because then you gotta rethread it. Okay, now pull it through and then pull it down. Okay. And then, let's see. We're going to go back up. Now you can pick either the front or back, whichever one you want. Okay, and when we pull on it, push that bottom in until you feel it secure. Then go through the other side. Okay, and I'm going to come on the outside of the 12 single crochets, because I'm going to go back up through the magic circle. Make sure you didn't pull these too tight. Okay. I think our tapestry needle wanted to sing to us too, right? Okay, so when we pulled this up, you notice how this, okay, now we're going to go back to our tapestry needle. We're going to finish this off. Okay, drop a loop, take the needle through that loop, and then tighten that loop, and that'll hold it. Okay, and then go back into that hole, go down a couple rows, and this is how I bury my yarn. Some people cut it off. I like to take it and go behind a few stitches. This way, after playing or whatever like that, it doesn't seem to come out. Okay, work his stitches. Okay, next thing we'll do is we'll put our nose on it. Our little puppy's coming along, isn't he? Alright, so I have the black. I only have maybe 8 or 10 inches on here. It's really not a lot. So I'm just going to come in through one of these stitches down here, and I'm going to come up. Now the reason why it's so wide looking over this way is because when you pull it in, it's going to draw those stitches closer together. So when you pull it up, make yourself a little tail, and then go down about the same area you came up in on the other side. Now we're going to do the one across 2 times. And then we're going to come here to the center. Make sure you don't show any yarn from underneath. Okay. And come down. I'm going to come out through the same hole so I can tie it off. Now, if you wanted to make this into a little bunny, you didn't have to tie the ears down. You could have just left them up straight, twisted them around a little bit. Either way, it would look really cute. Okay, so I cut them. They're about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to come over here between some stitches and go up through the same hole that the knot is in. And I'm going to pull it through and do what they call bury the knot. We are done with our little guy. He's cute, isn't he? You want to see his brothers and sisters? Let's go on a field trip. So here's all the ones that I have made already. Some have different eyes. There's a kitty cats. I made that video before too. And here's one using the same body when pigs fly. The idea was to have them all as ornaments, and they all turned out so cute. So, hope you enjoyed this crochet tutorial. So, till next time, bye-bye.